defense. Now we're going to return to Joe Cain, CEO of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association. Joe, how are you?
Good. What about you, guy?
Good. Can you hear us okay?
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Hear you fine. Getting a great sound tonight.
So we were talking beforehand. I know you attended this Hastings event that was hosted by Senator Michael Colton. Representative Colton, a Republican from
Nashville,
Michigan. And he was on the show. He talked about a lot of things. We felt that he was we had a good debate. I think it was very cordial. We may have disagreed on a lot of points. But
I don't think I don't think he disagrees with you anymore. I think he agrees with it.
That's good to hear.
We adjusted his attitude.
I want to hear. My point was that he was open-minded for discussion and encouraged people to show up and participate, which is all you can really ask. We've been preaching discussions, preaching understanding, listening to the community, and you were there, Joe. Tell us what happened.
Okay, Michael, you have to put this in context. About 2 weeks ago, we decided we made the decision that we should proceed with a plan of communicating with the reps. We did this based on Representative Kavanaugh, his statement that 4 of these bills were going to move out of committee, and more than likely they would pass. And we researched the issue a little bit further, and we determined that it was wise to engage the community. And so we developed and implemented a plan of communication between the patients and caregivers and the reps, and this has had an astronomical effect. We have actually moved this thing. As it stood, 2 weeks ago, we were looking at some pretty bad bills advancing, and all these bills would have accomplished one thing: it would have made patients and caregivers a lot more prone to arrest, and would have made Bill Schuette's job a lot easier. So, what has happened? And this is really good news, but folks, I can't reiterate this enough. This means we need to fight harder. They have moved away from these original 8 bills. There's a good chance that none of them will advance out of committee, but they are developing new bills. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If we back off, if we quit communicating with these guys, if we quit writing letters, if we quit calling, if we quit going to see them, things will get bad really quick again. Don't even cut them any slack. Now's the time to really pour the coals on, because we know what we're doing is working. It's the right plan. It's engaging these guys. In Hastings, what we had was over 200 of our folks from all the organizations in the state sitting there. I didn't detect a single anti-person out there. All the questions were basically, why haven't you implemented the law? Why are patients being arrested? Why are you even contemplating changing this act? And Representative Colton picked up on that really, really fast. He was ready to open the dispensaries back up. He was ready to implement this law and do whatever it takes to make us happy. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm getting a lot of intelligence in, and all that intelligence tells me is these reps are backing down. They don't want to touch the subject. But if we stop what we're doing right now, if we don't pour the coals on, they will go back to it. Because there's a lot of pressure coming in, and Kavanaugh said this himself. Kavanaugh said that one person,
as we get closer to the election.
Yep, that Kavanaugh even said himself, all this is being driven from Bill Schuette. Now, this is what we're really faced with. Do we trust Bill Schuette to take care of our patients? Do we trust Bill Schuette not to raid and harass our caregivers? And the answer is absolutely not. This guy, he is absolutely determined to make us a notch on his belt. We're trophies to him. We're political trophies. All he's seeking is higher office, and he doesn't care if he has to lock every damn one of us up to do it. So, folks, keep the pressure on. You're doing a great job. We have altered the political landscape. They are backing down, but we can't give them any quarter, because the one thing I've learned in this job is every time you slack up, they get back up and they come right back at you again. So keep writing those letters, keep making those phone calls, and tighten these guys up.
Joe, we hear different things, and it may have been one of the other representatives that had called in and said, not to stop calling, or protests don't work, or something like that. We know that that's not true. We know that they're hearing us. We know that they're being bombarded at times when it's not an important issue to them, and that the people that are getting to them first are the community, asking them to not vote in favor of bills that they don't know about nor do they care about, but they're hearing from the constituents before that there's concern about them, which doesn't usually happen.
Well, anybody that asks you not to participate in the democratic process, they're not your friend. That's not the way democracy works. Democracy depends on the public, on each individual participating in the program. So if somebody tells you, well, just give up your democracy and trust me to represent you in this matter, then they're not your friend. They're conspiring to screw you. Because let's face it. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
No, please. No, I was going to say it'd be a good time to have a drop from Reverend Steve. Show me what democracy looks like.
I love it.
You know that thing with they were talking about that surplus that was there? I am absolutely appalled that the state of Michigan stole $10 million from the disabled and sick people of this state. Normal procedure for the police state that we've existed in.
And ended up showing a bottom line surplus.
Bill Schuette wants to take that money and give it to law enforcement departments across our state. That is the ultimate insult.
It is.
Take what happened to them. One police officer was able to circumvent a constitutionally protected law. Our law is not just a regular law. It's a people's initiative. It's constitutionally protected. Article 2, Section 9 spells it out. One man was able to circumvent and undo the Constitution of the state of Michigan. So what does that say right there?
And it took them 2 years to come to justice, finally, in 2 different cases.
They offered him a civil infraction the day before the day of. They didn't want to try the case. It was what a tragedy. You know, tell us a little bit. Did Representative Colton have? Tell us some of the things he was saying. What were some of the?
We had. Now I've got to say this. This is really important. There was a guy on the panel. His name is Ken. Ken runs a testing facility, and Ken was making these erroneous statements. Ken stated that 40% of the things he tested came back contaminated. That's a lie. Now, Ken, if you're listening to us, don't just go for the payday. If you're going to say something like that, have the numbers there available for us to review. And I actually called him down during the meeting. That was the only bad part of that meeting, to have somebody actually on our side trying to get a paycheck up there spouting off foolishness like that. The folks that were sitting out of the audience almost bothered.
There you go.
We lost you for a moment.
Okay. The thing was I have to say I was very proud of our folks. They presented themselves very well, and the high point of this thing was we had a sixth grade school teacher stand up, okay, and she started speaking. She said, "Look, my father, he's 82 years old. He served in Korea, never smoked marijuana in his life. You folks doing this is like slapping him in the face. He voted for this law." And then she stated, I taught sixth grade for 30 years, and the reason that you don't mess with this is because the people voted for it, and that's what I taught my students. So what you're doing now is an affront to democracy, and I just, wow, listen to it. It was beautiful listening to our folks talk, the stereotypes that they put forward that were stoners, that we can't comprehend things, we can't think. You want to talk about some sharp people in that crowd? Lord have mercy. They were. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
And he was. It's nice because you need those kind of public discussions, and I like the fact that he's inviting the community to come in and be the ones that are participating in the discussion.
He literally said, Michael, this was great. He literally said, we've been looking at this as a criminal issue, and we should have been looking at it as a health-related issue.
That's what he said. That's beautiful. It's music. It's music to the ears of the community.
That tells you law enforcement and Schuette has been driving the situation so far.
We're having this guest on later in the show. I mean, she may be next, actually. But Miriam Halpern, who's a social worker. I remember seeing her at the. We have spoken to her many times, and a good friend of Chad's and Joe. I think you've met her. She wrote an article.
Nice lady.
Very nice lady. She attended a workshop for the National Association of Social Workers. I'm sorry. She attended a workshop put on to explain the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. And she goes through this article and explains who was participating in it, and you don't really see any voices from the community. The people that are there are Celeste Clarkston. People that are there are a doctor that says there's no research that cannabis works, and a law enforcement agent. My point being that when the purported, discussion is taking place, and here they are directing it towards an organization, someone's there reporting to bring back information and explain to her organization how it's being enforced in the view of it from the state's perspective. It's getting nothing positive, none of that discussion that you're describing. So I really want to thank Representative Colton for first coming on our show and being so open-minded to discuss it. We don't know where he's going to go yet. There's always the politics of politics, but it's good to know that he's at least listening. And as we've been advocating all along, the only way for this to work is to listen to the medical marijuana community have a discussion.
Yeah, and the good news is, Michael, they're going to be having these things all over the state, and we're going to be posting dates, times, locations, and we're asking everybody in the community to get up and go attend these things. Let your voice be heard. Continue to write. The email-o-matic takes about 30 seconds to send out just a ton of emails. You email every senator and rep. We've sent out almost 500,000 emails at this point. Phones are ringing off the hook.
Let's stop right there. I just want to return to that. You're talking about the email-o-matic. Explain to everyone who's listening what that means and what they can do and what it involves and what impact, what it effectuates.
Yeah, the link is on our website. As a matter of fact, it's in my signature on my ID. You just click it and go right there. We have at least a dozen predefined letters that you're welcome to use. And if you choose one of these letters, you just shop through them. You can click on it and just hit submit, and it sends it right off to all the reps and all the senators. If you want to do a custom letter, write your own letter, which we highly recommend, because the more different perspectives that get added, the better. You just cut and paste your letter in there and then hit send, and it sends it right out. So, in effect,
I want to send them out a note about our missing $10 million that was supposed to be paying for things like printing machines and stuff like that, people to print cards, etc. I want our $10 million back.
Just imagine just taking $1 million and helping some of our sick folks out. There's a lot of people in our community that can't afford food. They're having trouble paying for electricity, their heat and things like that, and they're suffering, though. Sick people, their illness, the first thing it takes is your money. So, to just be, heisting $10 million and disappearing it, I mean, it's not uncommon. They've got $850 million hidden in Lansing that they stripped out of the budget. That's a surplus. Maybe they could put it doing some good for the sick folks in the state.
$10 million of that was stolen money.
Between the certifications that they're trying to push with the doctor-patient bill, Kavanaugh's doctor-patient bill, and the $100 certification fee, they're taking $200 to $300 out of every patient's pocket every year. Between those two things, that of a person who already has health care expenses because they are dealing with a debilitating illness.
I'm sorry, Joe. 49 minutes left in the show. You listen to Planet Green Trees. We're talking to Joe Cain, also known as Blueberry, the CEO of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association. We've been talking about the email-o-matic, which has produced over 500,000 emails generated to our legislators, letting them know, many of which are form letters, but many of which are original letters, letting them hear from the community of the various points of view regarding medical marijuana. Joe also has been talking a little bit about the Hastings event that he was at. Joe, we're going to need you next week. I don't know that we're going to be able to get into some of the bills that we're talking about, where you have Representative Walsh calling in, right?
I've got some
one
really
of the
good
architects of some of these bills, and we're hoping to have the bills in advance so we can discuss them.
We have been told by his chief of staff that we'll have the bills that they intend to submit to the House Judiciary Committee before the show next week.
Right.
Oh, that's wonderful.
For review.
Yeah. So we're going to have a good opportunity to talk to him, and I'm sure we're going to let you, get in there and ask some questions and stuff. And, we're going to gear up for an intelligent debate with him, and hoping that he will walk away like Representative Colton did, maybe, and have a different view and perspective. Well, we can only be optimistic, as everyone's grimacing. But nevertheless, Joe, let me go. Let me get on to some of the other guests that I'm already 10 minutes behind. Thanks for all the insight and all the unbelievable support and hard work that you do on behalf of the community, and really fighting for patients' right and being a tremendous diplomat on behalf of the community. And I want to thank you for all you do. And I did get a chance to thank all the moderators at the MMMA, list of 12 of them. That all
Michael,
yes.
Michael, we've got over 25,000 diplomats at the MMMA, and they all do a great job representing the movement. I couldn't be more proud. We've just got a super group of people, and they work so hard.